Hi, everybody. My name is Kalysta Sylvester, and you are watching Hey Bay City.
Woo!
You're so fun.
Kalysta Sylvester, I believe we didn't officially meet a couple of years ago, but I believe you sent me an email like, hi, my name's Kalysta, and I need some help on social media.
I did. Yes, I did.
Yes. And
yes.
I was probably absolutely terrible in getting back to you via email because that's just how I roll. But it's nice that our orbits have come full circle, and we're here at the Jefferson Building, Avram Golden's project. And I thought it was so awesome to just come here and sit down and play a song or two.
Yep.
And so thanks for joining me this morning.
Thank you for having me. It's so cool in here.
Yeah, it is. It is so cool. It's going to be like a maker space for trade skills or things like that. It's going to be a very cool project. Let's talk about you before we talk about your music.
Yeah.
You grew up here in Bay City area. Tell me about that.
Yeah. Even when I was little, my grandparents would take me to St. Laurent Brothers, and so I have memories of downtown mostly. Overall, we were talking about the Atrium earlier and Steinhaus.
I'm glad those places are coming back, man. Like you walk into the Atrium, it was so cool, and then you go in the Steinhaus, and they've got Steins everywhere.
Oh yeah,
it was a vibe. It was a cool Bay City vibe,
right?
So thanks, North Peak, for bringing that back. Also, Jordan Dice just bought St. Lawrence Brothers.
I saw that. I saw that, and he's gonna keep it.
St. Laurent Brothers.
Okay. Yeah. Which is amazing.
Good
for him.
Yeah. A couple that owned it, they're retiring. Yeah. And so a little precarious there. Is this going to be still a thing? But he's bringing it back. So you came in Bay City. Where'd you go to high school?
Bay City Western High School.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, I was there.
Well, maybe a segue into the music part of your life. Were you musical there? Were you musical growing up? Tell me the roots of that.
Yeah. So my mom's parents and she was born in Detroit, Warren, and they lived there for a while. So they grew up around the Motown, oldies,
I was gonna say.
The greats, Aretha, even Stevie Wonder, things like that. So when I was growing up, I was in a household that was constantly playing that old music. So it got ingrained in my brain. And I remember just singing along to it. And it was just like a chill thing. Like my mom would sing all the time. My sister sings, and it was just like a fun thing to do. And nobody ever took it seriously. Yeah. And
well, I think at that age, it's important to just be surrounded by music and have fun with it.
Absolutely.
Because it's similar to sports, like kids' sports. You can really have fun at baseball, but you can also go to baseball every single day for the rest of your life, and then you end up losing some of the love of it.
Oh,
so
heck
I love kind of the informal nature of just I'm surrounded by music all the time,
and it's good.
Fun. Yeah,
and music is love, and music is good energy. So we always had music playing in the household, and like I listened to stuff I don't think normal 8-year-olds listen to, but I ended up doing "Killing Me Softly" by the Fugees for a talent show. And everybody was doing like Taylor Swift songs. I was like, let me come in here, do some Lauryn Hill. And I just wanted to be Lauryn Hill at the time, and I just picked up on it and that style. I was definitely inspired by like Aretha for sure. The soulfulness really hit me even when I was young. And then I was very shy. So, and then I got into school. I think it was middle school. I tried out for a talent show with an Alicia Keys song. I did it. And it was like, I don't know, like when I first went on the stage, it was just me and the stage and nothing else. And my mind shut off.
Really?
Like when people talk about meditation and things like that, I'm like, that's how I feel when I sing. I can shut all of my tabs off in my head.
See, that's interesting to me because we were talking before I started recording. At one point, I was in a music performance program. And part of the reason I left that program is because I am terrified of performing. Like I would sit up there and I'd put my fingers on the keyboard. We did juries, which was like your semester exam. And so everybody from the music department would sit at this table, literally like American Idol, only not as fun. And they would sit there at this table, and you would walk on stage and you'd play a piece and they would judge you. And I sat there at the keyboard for probably 3 or 4 minutes because my fingers were trembling so hard I couldn't even play. And I said, this is not for me. But here you are saying, no, this is my happy place. What is it about? What is it about performing? Is it the music? Is it the audience? Is it both of those?
I think even going back to growing up, energy was a big thing with my family. We were very spiritual growing up. So I think it's the energy exchange between the audience and the artist and giving something back and taking what they have. And it's just this beautiful little exchange. And again, I was a weird child because why do I think of that stuff when I'm that young? But like, it was just, it was that factor, but it was also just, that was the time that I could be fully myself with no judgment from myself. So if that makes sense, like, even if there were people judging me out in the audience, I knew what I was doing in the moment was the best, my 110% or whatever you want to say. I don't know if I'm making sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense, especially in the creative world. I mean, there's so much self-consciousness and am I good enough? And unfortunately, a lot of creative folks, musicians included, we never really get to see their work because of that. And the world doesn't do them any sort of favors, because as soon as you throw a piece of work or music or a photo on social media, everybody's going to come out and say what they're going to say. And so I mean, that's a gift in and of itself, to be able to say, I'm here in this moment, I'm giving you the absolute best I can, and I'm cool with that.
It's a passion. It's just what you love to do. It's doing what you love to do. Like, you play organ and like, you fucking love that and you're good at it. Oh my God, I just said the F word. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. We'll just need to edit that out in post, and apologies if I don't.
So sorry, Mom and Dad.
So you, was there an age or was there a moment where you were like, I'm into this more than just, this is my hobby, this is what I want to do?
Absolutely.
Okay, tell me about that.
Yeah, I had a 9-to-5 job in corporate, actually, for a big company around here. And it was great working there, but I hated it. I hated the people were amazing, but I hated like the actual work. And I was like, how am I going to do this the rest of my life? Like, I genuinely don't enjoy it. I don't get to talk to people. I'm behind a desk all day, and some people love that and they're so good at it, and kudos to them. That's amazing. But it just wasn't for me. And so I think it was at that time I was like, what do I really want to do with my life? And you had friends being like, I'm going to college, I'm going to university, I'm living in the dorms at this point. And so everybody was going their separate ways, and I felt like I was stuck, which a lot of people do when they get out of high school, right? So,
and there's a certain freedom that comes with college. I mean, especially at that age, you don't really have a concept of being saddled with infinite debt. And so you're just like, yeah, cool, I'm off at college.
I'm partying, man. It's party on. So I got to experience the fun parts of college because I could go and see my friends, right? And then I would come back and just work my job. But I did the community college route for a little bit as well. And I ended up quitting just because I wanted to dive into music. And it was a big jump. And it was a big risk, but I would say the biggest part, I wish I could say it was me who fully decided to do that, but people were pushing me. Like it was people like in the circle of like my closest people, like taking the time out of their day to say, hey, like you really need to do this. And they believed in me more than I did in myself at the time. And so I'd say that with a combination of what I was doing at the time really pushed me into thinking about taking the risk and pursuing music like that. So
I obviously do not have a career as a musician, but when you said risk, it's similar to starting a business.
Yes.
Where you really want to be 100% sure, but you're never going to be 100% sure. Yeah. You're going to be like 70% sure or 50% sure. But I love what you said about folks really supporting you and pushing you and saying, hey, like you're 50% sure, but we're 75 or 80 or 90 or 100% sure. So do this thing. About how long ago was that when you finally took the jump?
I probably was 19.
Oh,
I think it was 19.
Okay.
I'm 23 now. So, but it was a teacher that works at Central High School, actually, Lori. She pushed me a lot to do it, and my parents as well.
Awesome.
So
good job, Lori and parents.
Good job, Lori and parents.
You guys are awesome.
Shout out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, teachers, parents, you are so important.
Absolutely.
And you need to see something in kids and say something to kids. And I talk to so many folks who are like, that teacher in 8th grade is responsible for me being a teacher or a musician or whoever it is.
And you've affected, I don't even need to know. Like, I know you have, like being a teacher, somebody's out there doing something because encourage them to do
Hopefully, 5th and 6th grade class. Do something good with your lives.
You better become president. Yeah.
So I assume when you made that leap, you left your job, or
I
did you? Okay.
So it was, I forget what it was, a co-op. So it was co-op. So it coincided with on my college. So I knew if I quit one, I'd have to stop the other too. So it was like a
wow.
double whammy.
Yeah. It wasn't just leaving a job or just leaving school. It was
everything I was comfortable with. And like everything else that my friends were doing, I went the opposite way. And it was just, it was nuts, but we did it and we're in a good place. Yeah. So it was worth it.
You took advantage of being 19.
That's right.
Which I think is a great encouragement for teenagers, young adults, because I think back to my life, and this is like me not waning nostalgic as an old person, but that 18 to 25, like go and do stuff, go experiment, like get your jobs, go to school and things. But you've really got to figure out what you want to do. And the only way that you're going to do that is by doing.
Absolutely.
And it sounds like you took this jump to say, hey, I'm going to figure out if this is my thing. Yeah. So you left your job, you left school. Then what's your next step?
Yeah. So I had managers at the time. And I went through a couple of them.
Yeah, probably like therapists. You got to work through them until you find the one.
Yeah. And I've barely dipped my toes, in the water of the music industry. And I found out a lot of things to watch out for. And even being like a young woman and being naive and not knowing things, people might take advantage of that. And so that was like the first couple of years was a lot of the, maybe more of the negative going on. But the thing that kept me going and made me not quit was just the music. And honestly, my favorite part was meeting the musicians. So that's my favorite part. And anybody can ask me that and it will always go down to Darian, who was just here. Meeting and getting to jam with those people, that's like the best part right now. And so there's so many talented people out there in Michigan. Holy crap. There are so many people. And like you said, some of them are just playing in the garage and not doing anything. And it's, hey, can you come over here to this gig? Can I snag you?
Yep.
So yeah, I'd say it was just doing a lot of shows at the time, figuring out management if I needed it, if I didn't, navigating that exposure, going to those shows you don't get paid at just to make sure people know who you are.
Because it's more than just being a musician is more than just music.
Unfortunately, it's like a whole persona. It's it's like a whole package deal. It's like you have to be a nice person, obviously. Like some people aren't, but they still make it. But
you have to be on shit. There's a business side to being a musician. Like you think about being a photographer, being any kind of artist. Like we start these businesses thinking like, I love photography. I'm going to start a photography business. Yeah. And you learn really quickly, like that's 5% of running a photography. And musicianship is the same thing as I can sing.
Yeah.
But how do I let people know that? And what shows are good shows? And how do I do this and this and this and this?
Right.
And man, so how did you end up navigating that? Did you end up with a manager or?
I did. Okay. Yeah. I ended up with a manager at the time and I did learn quite a bit from them. I also learned like what not to do.
Yeah.
And at a very young age, I had to retain lawyers and lawyer up. Shout out Bay City because they're from here.
Yeah.
And they helped me get out of a situation that I probably shouldn't have been in. And I learned my lesson there and I was like, you know what? I don't need that yet. I think I jumped into the dangling carrot a little too quick or the dangling donut.
Yeah.
Sounds more appealing. But yeah, so I did go through that right in the beginning. And so now I feel a little bit more going off on a tangent. I feel like the people I've met at the studios and the directors, like once you go through something like that, they treat you differently. I feel like they're like, yeah, you've been through some crap. Okay, like I can relate to you now. So it was a stepping stone. So it was a good thing to go through and learn.
Yeah, you mature in a different way because especially if you're really enthusiastic about what you want to do. At the same time, you're taking on significant risk. And so you really want to make it work.
Absolutely.
You can end up putting yourself in situations that you don't really understand because you're just like, music, I love it. And you think everybody has your best interest in mind.
They don't. Yeah.
And they don't.
Some do.
My brother's entrenched in the music world and we were just texting and one of the guys, he connected with a producer down in Nashville has this giant string of just how mistreated he's been by this really big name producer, which makes us feel really sad for him because we know both of them.
Yeah.
But I think your advice is a good one, is that if you are a person, a young person, any person, really wanting something to work and then taking on risk in the process, you also have to be aware of what you don't know and then take steps to protect yourself to make sure, hey, who do I have to surround myself with so that I'm not taken advantage of.
Right. Yeah, be cautious and still be yourself. There was that balance I was trying to learn of. You can be cautious, but you don't have to lose yourself in the process. Yeah. You don't have to be closed off completely, but just keep your close circle. Find those close 2-3 people and have them around with you. Like you don't have to be alone. You can definitely do that. And I'm lucky because obviously my parents support me. That's not always the case with these young artists and musicians. So I was very lucky in that. But yeah, you have to go through the bad stuff and it'll continue. It's just life. You're going to get some bad apples. I'm sure it'll happen again, but at least I'll have some background and be prepared somewhat. Yeah, to protect the heart a little bit when it comes to things like that. But
Well, let's talk about the heart a little bit. How are things going right now? How often do you perform? Where are you performing? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so we just did Arts, Beats, and Eats and the Harvest Festival over there in Detroit. So that was very fun. So I just moved over that way a couple months ago, and we've just been booking shows nonstop over there because we haven't really gotten the opportunity to do that. So people appreciate it over there, and people are so knowledgeable about music over there as well too. And it's cool.
Here's a little tidbit about Detroit I learned. I was doing some interviews a couple months for the state of Michigan, and they were like, well, we're going to meet you at the Techno Music Museum.
Ooh.
Because Detroit, turns out, is the birthplace of techno music.
Oh my God. Okay, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, there you go. So I go walking in this museum and I'm talking to, I'm sorry, man, I'm blanking on your name, but you're amazing. But like the guy that invented techno music.
Ooh,
and it turns out he and a bunch of his friends were basically hacking out this new genre of music.
That's sweet.
But nobody in Detroit wanted to listen to it because that wasn't Detroit's vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And so they end up playing techno music under the Berlin Wall in Germany.
What?
Yes. And like now, like Germany is looked at as like the mecca of techno.
Yeah.
But it's because of this guy playing like an underground show under the Berlin Wall in Germany because nobody in Detroit wanted to listen to techno. And then he ended up coming back and there you go.
That's
Detroit.
Crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. Yeah, they do have a lot of like house music clubs as well.
Yep.
And it's cool. People are really into it. I did not know that.
Yep. There you go. A little tidbit.
I love that.
As long as we're talking about genres of music and things like that. You mentioned Aretha Franklin earlier, just being a giant influence.
Absolutely.
Typically, like people know her name and then a song or two. But what was it about Aretha's singing or music that really said, hey, this is somebody who's a great influence?
Yeah, so I guess when I was listening to her when I was younger, I would even watch videos on YouTube in our computer room when we used to have computer rooms. Yes. And I loved her look, obviously. I loved how she wore the big fur scarves and everything like that. And she just was unapologetically herself. You could just tell. She was a force. She was a force to be reckoned with. And she didn't care. And so I like the visual aspect got me as well. But I would say when I listened to her sing, I got chills and I felt it. It's just when you hear, I don't know, like a good chord or a good harmonization or some dissonance or something that just scratches the itch in your brain, and it just gave me full body chills, and it moves you.
Yeah.
And I think some music just doesn't do that for me, and it does it for others. But in the case of like soul and just strong vocals, and you can feel it coming from her soul and into yours. That's that. Once again, it's like that energy exchange, and it's even through like videos. Like obviously I didn't see her live or anything, but now I get to work with some of her drummers, and I get and I get to meet people like that. And it's pinch me moments, and it's the musicians that made her too. So I can't disregard that as well. And I don't know, she's just so special in that way. And then to be in like the same place as her in Detroit, it's cool. It's just cool.
That is super cool.
Yeah, she hits different.
Yeah, she hits different. And I think a lot of these names, like we take them for granted because, of course, everybody knows Aretha Franklin. But to understand who she was at the time she existed, doing what she did and overcoming what she did to get to that level. I mean, we have the added benefit of constantly being surrounded by musical inspiration, and we can hop on YouTube and listen to whatever music in the world we want, and we can learn every single lesson, things like that. But that wasn't available to them back then. But here she is, just still forging her path and really opening doors for, I don't want to say everyone.
Yeah, but especially women. Especially women. And I just watched on Netflix a documentary at Clive Davis. So that was like the producer that like really took her on. And I think he's still alive right now. I think he is. But then I got obsessed with him, and he saw something special in her, obviously, and was one of those probably good people in her circle. I don't know, but I'm assuming because she worked with him for a long time. But it's the people that you meet. That's the biggest lesson I've found out now is you have to know somebody. You have to network. You have to get to know people and learn from them. So let's talk about your music. You have music out right now people can listen to? I do.
Tell me about that.
It's a little bit old. It's a little bit old, but it's on all music platforms. It's Kalysta Official. I'm on Spotify, Apple Music, everything. But we have been working in the studio this past year with a whole bunch of new originals, and we released them in the new year.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Do you have
January.
a release date?
We don't yet.
Okay.
I know January is going to be the beginning, though. We wanted to wait after the holidays and everything.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, do you want to tease that a little bit? Tell me a little bit about the music on there. Tell me about it.
Multiple producers, but I did work with Andrew Doss from Fun. I got to work with him, which was really fun. And Michael Bermudez, my producer that I just recently worked with, and some other cool cat musicians that are on there. I think some of the Mac Saturn boys are on there as well. I know they're making way out there too. And I guess the message that I wanted to send with these originals was more female based, like being like strong, tough woman. Like you don't need that type of thing, but also slipping in those love songs, of course, because we like stuff like that. But there's an undertone of soul and R&B and a little bit of jazz in each one of them. But we really wanted to mix that modern with the vintage sound.
Oh, cool.
So some of the songs have horns, brass section, and some electric guitar, like mixing all of those together. It's a cluster, but it works.
Dope.
And then the other ones are more pop, but the vocals are obviously more soulful, R&B. Just trying to bring back some of that old sound into the new. So that's kind of what we're doing there, but like women power. So that was like the main message for all of these songs for sure.
Very cool. Okay, so January, people, keep your ears peeled for some new music coming from Kalysta Official. Check her out. Follow her on all the social media platforms.
Yeah, please do.
If folks are saying, well, between now and then,
yes,
I want to see you perform. I want to follow you at shows. Where can I go to get like your show list?
Oh yeah, just social media. That's like the biggest thing for me. I'll always post my shows coming up on there. So it's just Kalysta Official. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, everything else. So that's the best way to find me.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, we're going to close with a little recording we did with your guitarist before. It's going to be awesome. Before we head off to listen to some music by you, I want to thank you so much for stopping by this amazing space and playing some music and for this conversation. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You're so great. Thank you.
Cut. Sweet.
You're so fun.
You're so fun.
Can't go back, can't rewind. They said you were a lesson to learn twice, telling me it's forever when you're telling those other girls to buy me all of those diamonds down the turning my fingers blue. Would it be different if I said I didn't love you? If the hurt didn't make it true, would I have ever heard from you? Would it be different if I never loved you? You used to take me out dancing, cigarettes and sake nights, than telling me it's forever when you're telling those other girls to buy me all of those diamonds that are turning my fingers blue. Would it be different if I said I didn't love you? If the hurt didn't make it true, yeah. What I have ever heard from you, would it be different if I never loved you? The hardest part's when it's raining, all those moments we were saving, touching in the dark. Won't you choose my heart? Would it be different if I said